Hello everybody, today is AC installation day and you can see I got a Bugatti. It's a 11,000 BTU unit with a heat strip, so I think that should be more than enough to keep me cool. It's a rooftop unit. So when I was laying this out, there was a bearing pad right here in the center, and it would have lined up with one of the ribs on top of the van, one of the high ridges, and I didn't want it sitting on there. For one, that would keep the other bearing pads from seating correctly. So the problem was with this center bearing pad. I cut it off with a straight razor, and I cut it in half, and I glued half here on this side, half here on this side. The ridge on the roof van will go right here where the bearing pad was, in between these two bearing pads, and shouldn't cause an issue. So all the bearing pads, I checked clearance. From this one to this one was a little narrow, so I cut a ½ inch off, glued it on the end. Same thing on this side, cut a ½ inch off, glued it on the end. So they should clear the outside roof ridges. Will go, one will pass just inside this bearing pad, one will pass just inside this bearing pad, and I'm laying out the hole so the seal for the opening will touch no rooftop ridges at all. There was one that's going to run right down the middle, but that one's getting cut out for the 14¼ by 14¼ inch hole I have to cut. So hopefully pre-planning, double checking where these bearing pads is going to sit is going to save me. Bugatti does not mention any kind of additional sealant other than this seal right here, but just as a precaution, I'm going to put 1/8 inch thick by 1 inch wide butyl tape all around, just so I make sure I got a good seal. Once that's set, I don't see how I'm going to be able to put a roof flap sealant around it, but I'll try if I can. We'll see how it goes. But today is rooftop AC installation day. I had considered at one point not to do a rooftop. I mean, there are other options. There's a portable units that are out there, but I didn't want a portable unit to be in the way inside the van. I didn't want hoses, intake and discharge hoses running out of a window. I didn't want that. That would have been the cheapest option, but I just don't want that unit taking up space inside the living area. It's going to be tight enough as it is. There are undermount units where the condenser and fans go underneath, and then you route your ducts, your AC and heat ducts inside the van. Very, very pricey. Even if you install it yourself, it's going to run you about $5,000. Tack on an additional $2,500 for that to be installed by an AC professional. So you're talking $7,500. That's a big hit. That's a big hit. So I went with this rooftop unit. The van's already over 10 foot tall. This rooftop unit is 14 inches tall, so I'm not crazy about getting extra height. However, if you go to Airstream dealership or any other RV dealership that's selling vans that have already been pre-converted over, every single one of them has a rooftop unit sticking up. So they're thinking the same thing I am, to keep prices lower, put on a rooftop unit. They work great, they're easy to service. When they need service, you just need a ladder to get up and service it. You don't have to crawl underneath the van to do any servicing. So that's why I chose the rooftop unit. Yeah, so this makes me happy. This is a square hole, as was the hole cut out for the ventilator fan, square. So unlike the windows that had a radius at each corner, this has square corners, so I don't have to cut a cardboard template or anything like that. I can just use a framing square. Yeah, I just use a Sharpie magic marker, make my square 14¼ by 14¼ inch. Drill 2 holes diagonally in corners across from each other, and I'll be ready to cut. Okay, all laid out here, but I noticed from the outer edge of my line to this ridge on both sides is about 1 inch away. Now the width of the seal on the bottom of the AC is 1.5 inches wide, so that means a little bit of it is going to set on top of this ridge on both sides. So it comes out to here, so your seal will come from this line out 1.5 inches all the way around this line. That's the seal on the bottom of the AC. So what I'm going to have to do, I laid my square across here and I measured this, and it's about 3/8 of an inch. So my butyl tape is 1 inch wide by 1/8 of an inch thick. So I'll put 3 layers. What I'll do, I'll put 3 layers of butyl tape around the whole perimeter of this cutout after I cut it out, and that way it'll seal better, because what I'm afraid of is if I don't use the butyl tape, these 2 ridges will hold the AC up and keep the seal from sealing well. So that's why I'll do the 3 layers, which will end up being 3/8 inch thickness of butyl tape all the way around, and I think that'll make a real good seal. Okay, when you're cutting, this is what you're going to need when you're cutting your hole for your AC. You see, I have electrical tools. There's an advantage to electrical tools. I mean, yes, you need electrical power. Yes, you got to run a cord. Yes, you got to drag a cord around with you when you cut. I do have a few battery operated tools. Here's why I don't like them. Here's why I prefer to have electrical tools. Electrical tools, you got 1 tool. If it breaks, you know it. It needs to be repaired or replaced. You have 3 parts to an electrical drill, electrical saw, electrical jigsaw, whatever. You have 3 parts. If any one of those parts fail, you either need a new part or a whole new system. If any one of those parts gets lost, you need a replacement part or a whole new system. You have the tool with a battery operated tool. You have the tool itself, you have a battery pack, and then you have a battery charger. I can't tell you how many times I've seen my guys at work who prefer the battery operated tools because they don't want to drag a cord around. I understand, but they can't find their battery, or they can't find the charger, or they only have 1 battery per tool, and then the battery runs low, and they don't have a second battery to put in the charger. So too many variables for me. I prefer power tools. That's just the way I like it. Okay. So I got to drill in the hole I laid out. I got to drill 2 holes diagonally from each other in opposing corners, and this is about the size of bit you see I need to use to be able to get the jigsaw blade in, but hard to push a big blade through the sheet metal of the van with that big drill bit. So start with a smaller one, go up to a bigger one, and then finally end up with the one that you need to get that jigsaw blade through the hole. Yeah. Starting off with a brand new blade, I cut 2 window openings 14 by 16 inches with 1 blade. Not a lot of trouble. I cut a 14 inch by 14 inch opening for the ventilator fan with a single new blade, no problem. But probably not that those used blades are shot. They still feel pretty sharp to me, but a whole lot easier if you start off you cutting a hole, just use a new blade. That would be my recommendation. Use a new jigsaw blade. They don't cost much, and you're going to get less vibration when you use a brand new blade for each one of your cuts. Don't forget your safety glasses. You only got 2 eyes. Yeah, hey guys, I'm gonna catch some cuttings today. Been not doing that. Not having a problem. I've been sweeping up, vacuuming. Hasn't been a big issue, but I got the material, so why not? When you're cutting through the metal of a van exterior to make a hole for a window or van or AC, using a jigsaw, it does some metal shavings fall when you cut, so I'm trying to catch them. And one quick side note, if you buy a used cargo van, particularly if it was previously used for commercial use as this one was, they're likely to have bolted some things on the sides for shelves or the like, or storage bins. And you see here's one right here, and there's some really sharp metal pieces right here. Here's where they screwed something on, bolted to the wall, and then they unscrewed and took it out, and I actually cut my finger. Not too bad, luckily, but yesterday when I was getting in and out of the van, I reached around here somewhere and hit one of those sharp ends. In the end, it'll be covered with wall material and be okay. Just when you get in and out your van doing renovation, use your grab handles like that. Try not to reach around, grab your frame to pull yourself in and out, because yikes, it hurts. So the hole cutting went well. I forgot to bring my painter's tape up here, so I used the duct tape that I had with me. Works just as good, probably even better because it's thicker. But as you see, I drilled a hole in this corner and then diagonally across from it in this corner, and then when I cut this way and then this way to finish out that corner, and then I turned around and cut from that hole here and then this hole to here. I have to admit, collecting the shavings from underneath makes a neater, cleaner job. So didn't see a big deal in it before, but now I do. It's a neater way of doing it. So I'm going to take this 2-in-1 primer and paint and go around these cut edges, and then I'll take the tape off. Then I'll clean the surface around the perimeter of this hole, clean it real good. I don't use any special cleaner. Gas on a shop towel works fine for me. Works really good. And then we'll be ready to lift this thing up. You know, I'm a one-man show here, so I have to lift this unit up. That's going to be interesting. Don't have any help, so I've got some rope. You might see the rope over there. I'm going to tie that up, stand on the end of this truck, and I'm going to lift that up. And you probably won't see it on video because, yeah, I might drop it. So here's how I'm doing it. I've got a rope up top. I'll get up there shortly, and I'll pull the AC up. I've got it tied, interwoven into the base of the unit pretty good. Decided not to pull it up by this skinny rope. It'll hold weight, but I'm afraid it'll cut my hands if it slips or anything. So I got this soft rope tied to it. Plenty of knots. I'm pretty confident no accidents will happen. And when I pick it up, if I do slide it against the top of the van, it'll slide against this plastic, not anything on the bottom. To rip anything off the bottom, any of the pads or the ceiling or anything like that. So see how this goes. It's not particularly heavy. It's 65 pounds. I mean, that's a good amount of weight. It's not really heavy. It's not light either. It's just the awkward size of it that makes it difficult to handle. But I think pulling up by the rope, I think this will go good. Okay, got it up. Second take. I wore some cotton gloves at first, and I could feel the rope slipping through my gloves. I didn't want to risk dropping it, so I had to switch over to some rubber gloves. Yeah, not too bad. I'm sure my face turned red. So, but yeah, breathing hard. But that should be the hardest part of my day, no doubt about it. So, like I said, I'm working by myself here. So, what I've done, I've centered the inside of this seal that's mounted on the bottom of the AC unit, and I've centered it on this hole from down below. So while there's no butyl tape up top or anything, and what I'm going to do, since it's centered, I'm going to go up top and I'm going to use a fine point Sharpie. It'll give me some reference points on the bottom of the AC and the rooftop. So at least one on all four sides. So when I'm setting this into place on top the butyl tape, I will know that I've got it centered and it's going to look good from below. We'll see how this goes.